It's time for the RMAC Radio Show, featuring all the latest information from around the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. The RMAC is a proud member of NCAA Division II. Now, here's your host, Eric Danner.
Welcome to the RMAC Radio Show, week number 12. This is arguably the busiest week of the year in the RMAC. My name is Eric Danner. We've got football to tell you about. We got the NCAA playoffs coming up this week. We have two teams from the RMAC in the NCAA playoffs, which is huge because only 24 teams in all of NCAA Division II football make it to the playoffs. So a much smaller field than any other sport that we have, and to get two in is fantastic, and both the teams have home games. We're also going to talk RMAC volleyball. We got the tournament going on this week, and in segment number 2, we're going to talk to one of the outstanding players in the RMAC. And in segment number 3, NCAA soccer, Metro State, Colorado Mines women's soccer, both still alive. Metro State and Colorado Mines were both lower seeds. One of those teams will go on, I believe it's to the Elite Eight already this weekend. And we're going to talk with Adrian Alvarez, the head coach of the Roadrunners, in segment number 3. Basketball is already underway, both men's and women's. And we have the NCAA cross-country championships this weekend. Of course, Adams State gearing up for a possible 1-2 or a 2 championship finish for Damon Martin, as their teams have been running real well. But of course, Colorado Mines, Western State, there's always great RMAC teams. We have a number of them that'll be competing in Joplin, Missouri this Saturday. But we're just going to start off with football. CSU Pueblo, still the number 1 team in the country, 9-0, 11-0 overall. They are the number 1 seed in the region, meaning they get a bye. But perhaps even more exciting is Chadron State, 8-1 in the RMAC, 9-2 overall. They get a home game this weekend as the number 3 seed. They play West Texas A&M, and we're now joined by one of the outstanding players on the Eagles football team. His name is Glen Clinton. He joins us on the RMAC hotline. Glen, how's it going today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Glen, thanks for joining us today. What an outstanding season for you and your team this year. Let's go back, I guess, before we get into the matchup coming up this weekend. Let's go back to last year. As far as you had some turmoil within the football department. Bill O'Boyle, he's now over at Colorado Mesa. Brad Smith stepped in for a little while. Jay Long comes in. I know there was a lot of emotion going on there, but it seems like most of the guys on the team stuck around, even with the departure of Coach O'Boyle, and Coach Long comes in. And boy, I guess a lot of people are surprised by how you played this year as a team, but I'm guessing your team's not real surprised. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we've always stayed very confident. Just because our coaches have left, the tradition of Chadron still stays here. And as far as this season goes and the success that we've had, I don't think anyone's surprised. I think we prepared well, and we have great leadership on this team. Nobody was transferring. Nobody was leaving Chadron because of everything we went through last year. We stayed strong. We came together as a team. And then the great coaching staff we have now has helped bring us to where we are now.
Talking with Glen Clinton, All-RMAC tailback from Chadron State College, and the Eagles will be playing West Texas A&M this Saturday in the NCAA playoffs. That's a noon kickoff from Don Beebe Stadium. Glen, as far as your season goes this year personally, over 1,000 yards again, top running back in the RMAC, and I imagine those were both goals you had at the beginning of the season.
Well, winning and going to the playoffs is definitely my first goal, and we have a great line here at Chadron State. Coach Long's a really good coach, so he coaches them up really well. I think that's a direct result of my success as a running back. I couldn't be more proud of my line and everything they do. I make sure to thank them after every game, and at the end of the season, it looks like good numbers for me. So I'm happy to be running behind them.
Talking with Glen Clinton, tailback from Chadron State out of Cody, Wyoming. Now, growing up in Cody there, Glen, there was obviously a great running back at Chadron State, probably when you were in high school, maybe even middle school, by the name of Danny Woodhead. What kind of impact did he have on you in terms of your decision to play football at Chadron State?
Well, I heard of him when I was in high school. About three of my 3 of my high school coaches actually played at Chadron State, and I think that had a lot more to do with it. They're all telling me about Danny Woodhead and everything, but I actually came in to Chadron as a safety. And I think the main reason I came here was my high school coaches. They were real motivators for me. They told me about the tradition here, the winning, and the great atmosphere.
Talking with Glen Clinton, the all-conference tailback from Chadron State College. Now, I did see on Twitter maybe a week or two ago, Glen, that you put something on there about Danny and that you're X number of yards behind him, and then he responded to you and said, "Good luck, go get him." That had to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. It was actually within, about 10 minutes of my tweet, so I was feeling pretty good about that. That guy's pretty amazing, and with all the successes I've had, it just shows how great he was, because I am miles away from that guy's record.
Glen Clinton is a junior, 5'10", 200 pounds, and in seeing you play, Glen, I mean, you run with a very rough style, not afraid to take on guys when they try to tackle you, but sometimes that can lead to injuries, which I think you've had a couple injuries previous to this year. Knock on wood, you're doing well this year. Has there been anyone that's ever told you to change that running style, or is that, I guess, basically part of how you've gotten where you've gotten?
Yeah, my dad tells me every week, Glenn, don't be afraid to go down, and you don't have to take a guy head on all the time. Yeah, and coaches along the way, but there's really nothing I can do about it. When I'm on the field, it's just all reaction from the tailback position. So even though it gets me in trouble sometimes, it's gotten me to where I am today.
Talking with Glen Clinton from Chadron State, and Danny Woodhead was a indoor track and field champion at Chadron State in the 55 meters. I know John Ritson, after him, he had some success in indoor track as well. And you also have competed in indoor track, Glen, but not the event that most people think of when you think of a running back doing indoor track. Why don't you tell us about your career on the pole vault?
Yeah, that's a lot. It does surprise a lot of people. I'm actually, so when it comes to track, I'm really not that fast, and pole vault's something I picked up in high school. My sophomore year, I did indoor track in high school, and then soccer in the spring, and it kind of took off. I had a really good high school coach for pole vaulting. Came here after my first football season here. I walked up to Coach Bailey and I said, "Hey, I pole vaulted in high school. Do you want me on the team?" And he's like, "Sure." And ever since then, it's been really fun. Pole vaulting is just a fun event. That's why I do it. It's great.
Talking with Glen Clinton, and I understand you have to have a specially made pole since you're kind of a bigger pole vaulter in terms of being 5'10", 200 is pretty good for tailback. Not necessarily the ideal weight, I'm guessing, for a pole vaulter.
Absolutely not. No, you want tall, skinny guys. Coach Bailey actually had to take a saw to a few of our poles to shorten some of the bigger weight poles for me last year, and it worked out all right, I guess. Talking
with Glen Clinton, and turning our attention back towards the game this weekend against West Texas A&M. Here's a team, at least you have some game film, I'm guessing, on them. They played CSU Pueblo game number 1, and a team out of the Lone Star Conference, obviously a very good league. What do you know about West Texas, and what are you expecting this Saturday?
Well, I know they're a very good team. From what I've seen from them so far in regards to our running game is their D-line, especially number 90. He's a big aspect up front, so we need to prepare well for them up front this week. And I know that their offense is very explosive, so as an offense, we need to keep them off the field this week.
Well, hey, Glen, want to wish you the best of luck this weekend. We'll be cheering for a Chadron State victory, and then good luck also in the indoor season.
Thank you.
All right, that is Glen Clinton, all RMAC running back from Chadron State College. Boy, what a great player he has been for them this year, and 9-2 on the season. Their only other loss besides CSU Pueblo was first game of the season up at Montana State. So just an outstanding year for the Eagles as they are in the NCAA playoffs. For what happened this past weekend in RMAC football, let's head over to Chris Polton with our RMAC recap.
Thanks, Eric. Perfection again for CSU Pueblo in the regular season as they handled Western State on Saturday. The ground and pound was in full effect for the Pack as Cameron McDonald carried the ball 33 times for 197 yards and a touchdown. McDonald also added a TD catch as well as the Thunderwolves stifled the Mountaineer offense and held them to 3 points. Final score 21-3 CSUP. Chadron State, trying to cement their place in the playoffs, had a tough matchup against Colorado Mines at Don Beebe Stadium. Eagle quarterback John McClain kept with the status quo of staying efficient, only having 177 yards, but making those count by scoring 3 touchdown passes. CSC defense silenced the high-potent Ordiger offense, holding Matt Brown to only 132 yards in the air and picking off the Ordiger QB twice. Chadron wins 20-14. Looks as though New Mexico Highlands wanted to end their disappointing season with a big bang. The Cowboys hosting in-state rival Western New Mexico, and NMHU's quarterback Emmanuel Lewis sent the message early that the Mustangs were public enemy number 1. Lewis threw 2 touchdown passes to Darius Davis in the first quarter, and when the final whistle blew, Lewis had thrown for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns. Cowboy linebacker Jordan Campbell put the exclamation point on his fine 2 years at Highlands, compiling 13 tackles, 6 of which for losses, and 2.5 sacks. New Mexico Highlands rolls 58-0 over the Mustangs. Adams State was another team that started this year with a ton of promise, but also falling short of postseason play, but didn't let that affect them this weekend. The Grizzlies shut out Colorado Mesa 19-0 behind their stingy defense. ASU kicker David Van Forest supplied all the offense needed, hitting 4 field goals with the longest coming from 44 yards out. Black Hills State ended their first year of the RMAC play on a high note, blanking Fort Lewis and Spearfish, South Dakota. The Yellow Jacket defense accounted for 9 of the 19 points, scored with a safety and a 15-yard fumble return for a touchdown by Mitch McDevitt. I'm Chris Fulton, and that's your RMAC recap.
Thank you, Chris. RMAC Players of the Week brought to you by Rawlings. Cameron McDonald of CSU Pueblo, the true freshman, logged 231 all-purpose yards in their win over Western State, 197 yards rushing on 33 carries for Offensive Player of the Week. Defensive Player of the Week, Jordan Campbell from New Mexico Highlands finished his career tying for the most tackles for loss in a game with 6. Actually, I'm not sure that's 100% correct, so I'm going to correct myself there. I believe he did had the tackles for loss for a season for Jordan Campbell, which I believe he set last year. He's a senior out of Corona, California. Of course, he was a transfer, played at USC, and then went to Louisville before playing for New Mexico Highlands. So he ends his career with an outstanding game with 20 tackles for him. Special Teams Player of the Week, another senior, David Van Voris from Adams State, had 4 field goals and an extra point. Also had a great season punting the ball, so what a good way for Van Voris to end his career. Well, that does it for RMAC football. When we come back, we're going to actually, before we end up RMAC football, I need to talk a little bit about CSU Pueblo because they do have a bye. They will be playing November 24th at home, so we didn't want to exclude CSU Pueblo since they are the number 1 seed. They're just not playing this week, but they do have a bye. We'll be playing November 24th. Not sure who they're going to be playing against, but hopefully they can get over the hump. Remember, they had the home game last year, wound up losing to defending national champion Minnesota Duluth, but they should be in good shape to possibly go deep into these NCAA playoffs. When we come back, we're going to talk RMAC volleyball and the RMAC volleyball tournament here on the RMAC Radio Show.